Hello and welcome. You're watching Medically Speaking. I'm Meenakshi Upreti. Today, we'll be talking about children in context to what else but the COVID-19 pandemic. Far as the second wave is concerned, we have just gotten over it. All of us are bracing for that terrible third wave. Ahead of the third wave, inevitable, some say it's already here. What about children? We've had many reports in the past few days in the newspapers from the MHA, or when it comes to even vaccination for children. Zydus Cadilla's vaccine is going to be available very soon, but not available yet. How susceptible are children to COVID-19 and what it really means for them in context of their immunity? We'll be discussing that in greater details with an expert panel. We have Dr. Shyam Kukreja. He's the HOD Pediatrics, Max Parparganj. Dr. Rajiv Seth, he's a senior pediatrician, also the chairperson of ISPCAN. We also have Dr. Smitha Malhotra. She's a senior consultant pediatric gastroenterology at the Apollo Hospital. I also have Dr. Amit Gupta. He's a senior consultant neonatologist and pediatrics at Motherhood Hospital. Also, we are also joined by Dr. Naveen Bajaj. He's a senior consultant neonatologist at Deep Hospital. Also the chairperson of neonatology chapter of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. Welcome, all of you. Dr. Rajiv Seth, I'm going to start with you first, sir. So when we speak about immunity of children in context to COVID-19, first of all, help us understand in the most basic layman's term. Earlier, we believed that children were almost protected against COVID. Even if they get COVID, their internal immunity could fight it. But now we have many contrary reports coming in which say that COVID perhaps could be as severe in a child as it is in an adult. How worrying is the situation, sir?
We have seen two waves, and in both the waves, the children have been less affected. If you see the wave one, most of the children were asymptomatic. Very few cases came up. In the wave two, there were more children because there were more disease. The impact of the disease proportionality was higher in the entire population. And children were also seen with various spectrum of mild, moderate, and severe infections due to COVID. So mild infections, they could have no symptoms. They could remain asymptomatic. In the moderate, they could have breathing difficulties. Their oxygen saturations can go down. In the most severe form, the multisystemic inflammatory disease are those in which the children get into shock situation, Kawasaki, and would land up in a hospital. Now, those severe cases are very small proportion. Generally, it is believed that children have had a good immunity and they don't have very severe disease. Having said that, very important that we take good care of our children. Right now, the vaccines have not been approved for children except for the one which we know from Zydus Cadila for 12 to 18. It will take about another few months before it is available for children over 12 years. Vaccinations is the best way of immunizing children. And therefore, we do struggle because there is no vaccine except for the Zydus Cadila vaccine, which comes out in next 2-3 months. So the best way is to make sure that all adults around the family are protected. They get their own immunizations of COVID vaccines. It's extremely important. The adults take good care of the child in terms of the child's diet and nutrition, and takes care of the child's general well-being. Right now, most of the children have been confined in indoors, so they are basically also at risk for behavioral issues, emotional issues, and therefore exercising, outdoor activities will also help building the child up emotionally as well. So immunization, when it comes up, that will be the key factor for getting the perfect immunity that we are looking for. But right now, most of the studies have shown that about 60 or 67% of the children have antibodies, and therefore they themselves had either a past milder infection. And therefore, one should not be too scared. And most of the expert groups who are watching the various patterns of the disease and how it is evolving, it is becoming more and more clear that we don't need to be so scared. But yes, we need to be prepared in case we get a major third wave. there are resources available for referrals, both secondary and tertiary care facilities, and therefore we need to upgrade our systems of healthcare for providing secondary and tertiary care for children who suffer from COVID.
Right.
So that's what I say.
Absolutely. So you say we need to, of course, better our secondary and tertiary care. And I want to take this thought forward. Dr. Shyam Kukreja, if you could just come in this conversation, sir. Dr. Kukreja, when we speak of infrastructure, and I'm not speaking of only the private hospital which you are representing, in general, there was an MHA report also recently which came out saying that our infrastructure is not enough to, take care of children in case they get severe COVID infection. Overall, what's your assessment of the same, and how are pediatricians planning to deal with it ahead of the third wave?
Okay, there are 2 or 3 questions which we have to answer. Number one, is third wave really imminent? Number one. Number two, if it comes, how children are going to be affected? Are they going to be affected in a different way as compared to what was happening in first and second wave? So we have to go into that. And the third thing is, if the worst comes, are we prepared for that? So there are 3 questions in that. So first, let me say, if you take children at a large, for example, if there are 100 cases of COVID infection in the adults, in simpler words, 15 get into difficulty. They need oxygen, they need hospitalization, they need special care, ICU and all that. So this is one. If you take 100 children who are infected with COVID, less than 1% will get into difficulty. Okay, but our denominator is so huge. So even if less than 1% is going to be a big number.
Yes, that's exactly the point I was going to make, sir.
So I think we have to be prepared for a lot of counseling of parents, because 99% are going to be simple, ordinary, mild cases. And they are maybe
severe cases. That was my question. Are we prepared, sir? What about severe cases? Are our ICUs, neonatology ICUs, etc.? Are we prepared as far as infrastructure is concerned?
See what happens, because of the huge numbers, any infrastructure can fail. But I think now everyone is prepared.
Okay.
Everyone is prepared. I think it should be much, much better managed.
All right. You say you are prepared. It will be much better managed. But Dr. Smita Malhotra, do come in. Were you seeing, children who had caught COVID in the second wave, COVID-affected children? Yes. Last time, of course, children were much better. Are you hoping for the same infrastructure-wise? And I'm again not asking you only about your private hospital, the one you're representing today. Do you think infrastructure-wise, India is where it should be when it comes to giving adequate?
See, what I feel is, as Dr. Kukreja said, that children, the percentage is less. But yes, when we have children who are severely affected, then they need ICUs. And pediatric ICUs, tertiary care ICUs, we really don't have that good numbers. The children who are more likely to be affected are the ones who have chronic diseases. They're more susceptible. Post-transplant kids, post-bone marrow transplant kids, post-liver transplant kids, children who are on chemotherapy. These are all kids who are more likely to get affected, and they need specialized care, that is tertiary care, including pediatric ICU, along with the allied specialty that they are under. So that, obviously, we don't have that many facilities, but I think one rises up to the challenge. One that things, it will be a coordinated care with tertiary care centers along with nursing homes, and a coordinated care between the referring pediatricians and the tertiary care center doctors and the subspecialties and the super specialties, which will be able to manage. There will be restrictions. There are some things which we are like.
I get your point. So you're hoping that a coordinated effort is going to help it. But Dr. Gupta, do come in here.
Yeah.
Tell me about maternity hospitals. As far as I know, many of them refuse to take COVID patients at all. There are, patients who have a certain pediatrician they've been going to for years. Maybe they want to continue them. What are they to do?
So I think majority of these small hospitals, they're preparing themselves for this wave itself. So like in the second wave, we were not taking initially COVID patients, but we have started taking these COVID patients now. Our infrastructure is getting ready for it. Our hospitals, our team, they are all getting ready for it. We are not anticipating any major thing. As sir previously said, that expert committee is saying, yes, most likely it is not going to happen. But yes, these small hospitals like my motherhood, we are planning to take these hospitals. We are taking mothers who are COVID positive. We are separating them. We are taking all the universal precautions to keep them. So in a way, we are preparing, we are keeping ourselves ready if in any case, these type of cases do happen.
All right, Dr. Bajaj,
Yes.
One more question to you also, sir.
Yeah.
Since we are talking about infrastructure, let's take this conversation forward. A lot of it really is depending on the immunity of children. One, of course, many of them already have antibodies, as Dr. Seth said right at the onset of this conversation. Antibodies which children already have their own immunity. Do you think that's enough to fight COVID third wave? Because frankly, there are reports which suggest that it's going to be much milder
Yeah,
this
if we
time
talk
around.
about newborns, especially newborn and children, newborns are much more protected than even the older children also, because of the factor that the receptors for this virus to enter into the cell, they are relatively less in those kids, especially in newborns, and they have a immunity which is better for that particular spike proteins. So that particular T cell immunity is better. And the third very important factor, especially for the newborns and initial first infants, that if they are being breastfed, so they have lot of protective effects from the breast milk itself. So breast milk is known to transfer the antibodies from the mother to the baby. So if we talk about breast milk, so let's take two, three scenarios. One is if the mother was already infected. So if the mother was infected, recovered, that mother has antibodies. If the mother has taken vaccine, in fact, there is a better transmission of antibodies from the breast milk to the baby.
All
so
right.
it is very important that all newborns should be exclusively breastfed, and all infants at least till 2 to 3 years of age should continue to get breast milk
I'm
from
not
the
too
mother.
sure of 2 to
So
3
that is
years,
very
because I'm
helpful.
a new mom myself. But Dr. Seth, I'm going to take this point to you. All right, I get the point about giving your milk to your child, and I'm trying my level best. I also recovered from COVID, so it was a difficult phase for me and my family. But Dr. Seth, when we speak really about immunity of children, my child was 4 months old. He recovered within. I understand the point you're all making about immunity in children again and again. But my question
And
always,
for working, I would like to
I'll
add
come back to you, sir. I have a very short time for this debate, and I want to get everyone in, sir. Please, apologies.
Yeah.
Dr. Seth, Dr. Kukreja also said counsel parents. I understand maybe 12-plus-year-old child, I can make it wear a mask. What do I do with younger kids, younger babies, maybe even till 5-6 years? They're not going to listen to me at all.
Quite true. You see, besides the immunizations, all children need to have masks and COVID behaviors. And you're absolutely right. Children, particularly less than 3 or 5, may not be in that category. We cannot make them wear masks. We cannot ask them to be having social distancing norms and washing and all. So certainly they are at risk. And therefore, what we want is at least all the parents who have children, they must get their vaccinations. Now, the vaccinations is available for people over 18, and I'm sure parents who are listening to this show must take their vaccines immediately. That is one way, indirectly, they will be protecting their children.
Okay.
After the age 5 or 3 or 5, a child can wear masks if you are going outside or in social situations or in a marketplace where the child is likely to come in contact with other people. But it will be very, very difficult for them to wear masks. It is absolutely important that we have COVID behavior and precautions in place despite everybody getting vaccinated, whether they are adults or children. And therefore, it is a big challenge. This disease is not going away. And most of the studies or the experts are saying that probably now it is going to persist in an endemic way in our country, like low dose prevalence of this.
That's what the WHO is saying. So we need to learn to live with it. Point taken, sir. Dr. Kukreja, when we really speak of, immunity in children, is there anything parents can do? Because a lot of concerned parents are also going to watch this show, and I also want to break it down for laymen. Is there any immunity building food which they can give their children? I know that many of you have rejected alternate medication, and I'm not suggesting that, but what can they do as parents other than providing breast milk, which only can happen till a certain year of age, frankly? Beyond that, what type of immunity building food can they give their children to help them better protect against the third wave?
Children generally has good immunity, and that's the reason pediatricians were out of the job in last two phases. Okay, I think the children have a very good immunity. And the reason is, now there's one paper published, I think, few days ago in Nature. They find the mucosal immunity, that's the innate immunity, is so good that the virus cannot take a good foothold. And this is one. And then they have less ACE2 receptors. They keep on having common cold, coronavirus infection. They get cross-reactive immunity because of that. Children do not smoke and all that. They have young and immature lungs. So all these things are there, which are a positive advantage to the children. So they already have a good immunity. So don't worry about giving some tonics and all that. There's no need for that. Except as Dr. was telling, that breast milk is very good for small babies up to the age of, say, 1 year or 2 years. After that, they have a good immunity. Don't worry about that. We have been out of work. I'm again repeating, for last 1 year. We are being working. We are for adult medicine now.
Well, in a way, as far as COVID is concerned, I shouldn't say this, but I'm glad that.
And the behavior is not going to change. The virus behavior is not going to change.
But Dr. Malhotra, come in here. I'm going to take this point forward. You said virus behavior hasn't changed. We've seen it mutate as well, sir. Yes, even the mutations have affected the adult population a lot more. Delta variant, of course, much more effective, unfortunately, for us. But tell us about children. What if the virus mutates? Are we prepared for that? Or are we just dependent way too much on the immunity of children?
See, immunity, as Dr. Kukreja said, children have good immunity. But I think I would like to add one point regarding that here, that what I have been seeing in my follow-up patients is they have come up with lots of weight gain. They are come up with the deprivation of sleep. They are always on their mobiles and laptops watching movies. They are not exercising. They are not going outdoors. These are the normal things which children do in their childhood. So adequate sleep hygiene, adequate exercising, adequate, and the pandemic that we have. Along with that, we have an epidemic of obesity and of eating junk food and unhealthy food. So these are basic things which we all know, which our generations know, which we need to inculcate in the present thing. So that is, they don't need extra immunity building foods, but they need normal immunity building foods which should be part of our daily diet. It includes a wide range of different colors, fruits and vegetables, so that they have a good normal health. Okay. Secondly, as you asked about the preparation, as I already told you, there are things for the critical cases, there will be a problem. Like we have seen in the second wave also, we had MISC. Now, when they have MISC, they need they have cardiac issues, they have coronary arteries, they become affected. So you need pediatric echos. Those things, definitely we are at a disadvantage. We have very few centers. But more or less, largely the other centers, basic healthcare we are able to provide. As long as they need oxygenation, basic medications, even ventilation, we have adequate.
What about emergency cases, Dr. Gupta? What would you say? Of course, the numbers are low and they're not stacked against us, fortunately. But then there are some cases which unfortunately require, further care.
This is what all the district hospitals, and in fact, PMO recently have a meeting with all the CMs and other people where they are trying to coordinate. They're trying to come up with infrastructure at the district level. We are trying to build up the PICU so that if God forbid this third wave is going to happen, that probably we are ready for it. And I'm sure with this type of medication and maybe with PM urgentness, I'm sure these types of things might be less this time.
I'm not too sure, sir, considering our healthcare budget is less than 1% and focus on children absolutely nil. Either way, Dr. Bajaj, do come in here. We are speaking of jabs for healthy children. Let's focus on that. That's how we started the debate, sir. They're only going to be available, as far as reports suggest, by the first quarter of 22. Would you say it's too late, considering you're already speaking of third wave, or again, as many experts have said throughout, that it's okay, vaccination can wait. When it happens, we must get children vaccinated, but till then it can wait.
So we have to wait, we have to get the approval, and we have to make sure that the vaccine doesn't have a significant side effect for the growing child. So it is basically the scientific approval which needs to be done, and till the time it is not available, we have other measures which we have discussed, that the parents should get their vaccination of all older grandparents and parents needs to be vaccinated, and the children should get the other vaccinations on time so that they don't get any other infection which will lower their immunity as such and will make them prone for the COVID-19 infections. So like you say, if there is seasonal flu now is going on, the new vaccine is available for the flu, so all children should get at least that flu vaccine.
Okay. All right.
If they can afford, and
right,
other vaccination should be on time.
All right, sir, I'm running short on time, so I'm going to take one last question from all of you. Dr. Said, my last question to you, we are talking about vaccination amongst adults. While children have better immunity, but they are, at risk of being carriers. They could get the virus, they could spread it around. Your suggestions, sir, in that regard?
Children will be carriers. They have been carriers in the first as well as in the second wave. There is very little you can do at this time except to maximize the COVID behavior. But one thing which Dr. Bajaj has said, routine immunizations are suffering. We are seeing in the districts, only 13 to 14% children are getting vaccinated, where the vaccines are available free of cost. So children need these routine vaccines. It doesn't mean those other diseases have gone away because we have COVID. And therefore, all the DPT vaccines, MMR, measles, whatever is needed and which is available, including influenza, chickenpox, hepatitis vaccines, the children should get. Their immunity is extremely important, and they need to continue to have the routine care with their pediatricians and continue to get all the routine vaccinations till the time we have the COVID vaccine in place.
All right, Dr. Kukreja, last word. You said that, we should counsel parents. What would you say to a concerned parent at this point of time?
I'll tell the concerned parents that don't worry about this COVID vaccine. COVID vaccine will come in due course of time. If we have more and more data in adults, you become more and more confident of vaccinating children. That's very important. So I'm happier that first we are seeing the lot of data in adults and then we'll vaccinate children. Two, because they are not having a very severe disease. Two, as Dr. Naveen said, fantastic. I think it is very, very important that we vaccinate against diphtheria, measles. They are more deadly than COVID in children. They are much more deadly. So it is very necessary that focus on the routine immunization, which has been suffering because of last 1 year COVID. So it is very important that we vaccinate more and more children with these illnesses, which are more deadly. And it is very important that don't forget that.
Dr. Manuka, your patients also, as Dr. Kukreja said, are they also missing their, basic vaccination for their children out of the COVID
Yes,
fear?
this has happened. General healthcare, it's not just vaccination, even children who they are neglecting minor complaints, fevers, routine fevers. People are, avoiding going to hospitals. I'm a gastroenterologist. I have children who come with GI issues. I recently had a mother who was referred to me 6 months ago. The child needed an endoscopy. Child is not gaining weight, has diarrhea, but the mother says she's fearful of COVID and not ready to come to hospital. So parents are actually getting into greater trouble for other reasons as compared to COVID.
Okay, so Dr. Gupta, I can assure you I'm not doing that. You're my pediatrician, so you know that. But when we speak of basic immunity of children, and we're speaking of vaccination, maybe not that important, even when it does come for children above 12. What about children below 12? Would you say they have a even better immunity and may not need vaccination at all?
No doubt, Meenakshi, they have much, much better immunity. There is no doubt about it. Data clearly shows that lesser the age of the child, they have a better immunity. So like somewhere between 1 to 5 years, I say they have a better immunity. But still on the part, I would say, please, the adults should make a cocoon effect around the baby. They should please get themselves vaccinated without any doubt, especially the lactating mother, the pregnant mothers, they should please take the vaccine. It's now available. I strongly emphasize flu shot to be taken to all the pediatric age group, so that because these two diseases resemble a lot, and in this way they will have fewer visits to the doctor clinic. So in fact, please, no doubt it provides better immunity. And one last thing, all this zinc, vitamin C, all these are just placebo. Please think about it before giving your kid in access.
All right, Dr. Bajaj, last word to you. You spoke about, of course, benefits of breast milk, spoke about benefits of vaccination amongst adult population as well. Last word, sir. What will be your final word, final suggestion, really, for parents who are watching this show, sir?
If they can breastfeed, keep on continuing breastfeeding. Take the mother, as Dr. Amit said, take the mother and all the adults should take the vaccines. It is must for them. Second is skin to skin contact, kangaroo mother care, especially for smaller babies who they go home from NICU, they should be continued. They should not be isolated. Third, older children can be taught about mask wearing and COVID appropriate behavior. We are seeing our kids coming to OPD with the beautiful masks and very colorful masks. So they do adopt. They follow us. If we keep on doing these sort of COVID appropriate behavior, they are going to follow us.
All right, parents must lead by example. I think
Yeah, they lead by example.
Absolutely, sir. It's been a rather riveting discussion. I wish I had more time. I do not feel like closing, but it's been very informative. And I hope all you parents watching out there take some tips like I have and stay safe, stay home, keep your children safe. Thank you for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.